Welcome, everybody. It is Lynn Meyer, your host for Men Cry in the Car podcast. We are back. Today is October 20th, 2025, and we have a very special guest. It is truly my honor and my privilege to interview Dr. Davis from my alma mater, Livingstone College. I'm going to bring him on. We're going to chat about some things. We're going to talk about, give you guys some history and education about Livingstone and let you know that we are the best HBCU. I know you think you are, but we are the best HBCU. And we'll chat about that. And then we'll also chat about his journey. Okay. So if you haven't already subscribed, if you already haven't shared, if you haven't liked, do all the things, press all the buttons, share this out. Today is going to be a very impactful, informative, live, entertaining, and educational episode. But before we get into that, let us know what you think in the comments about the episodes that you've seen so far. Men Cry in the Car. This is going to be our second season. We want to hear from you, okay? Let us know who you want us to bring on. Let us know what type of questions that you want to get answered for you. But let's not even prolong this. I'm going to bring on the Dr. Davis.
Well, hello. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dr. Davis.
I need to take you on a road. That was an amazing introduction.
Whenever you want to go, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Whenever you want to go.
Let's
I
go.
definitely want people to understand Livingstone College. Just for those that don't know, I am a graduate of Livingstone College, a proud graduate, I should say, class of 1996. I came to Livingstone, well, I came to know about Livingstone College through another alumni that graduated, I think it was 75. I think she graduated in 75. And I knew nothing about Livingstone College until I got there. Once I got there, it was truly an amazing experience. I understood that beneath the maples and thy oaks, like I understood all of that. It truly was a family, and it is to this day a family. And so today we're talking to Dr. Davis about well, he's the 13th president, actually. I forgot to say that. He's the 13th president of Livingstone College. And I just want to pause for a second. So, Dr. Davis, tell us a little bit about Livingstone College and what that means and it means for you.
Well, well, to understand Livingstone College is to know our history and to love our history. Think about this. In 1879, descendants of freed slaves gave birth to an audacious idea of starting a school. Someone said, well, what's so audacious about starting a school? Think about this, up out of slavery, um, where it was a crime, when it was a crime to teach slaves how to read and write. We had a group of individuals that said, we're going to start a school. They understood that education would be the key to the middle class and beyond, and that our education would be able to open doors that emancipation couldn't. And so they said, hey, we're going to start a school. So in 1879, they birthed Livingstone College, the AME Zion Church. They moved from Concord, North Carolina, where it was Zion Wesley Institute. And the first act of inclusion was to bring this new society to Salisbury. That in of itself was um, a history maker, because if you know anything about Salisbury, Salisbury was the Confederate stronghold. Slaves who worked the crops in Salisbury were actually harvesting the grain that they used for antiseptic for the Confederate Army. The Confederate prison was right here in Salisbury, and for them to invite an HBCU, which would be one of the oldest HBCUs, Livingstone College, to Salisbury, is history in of itself. That was the audacious idea.
Yes, sir. And just tell us how you became the 13th president of Livingstone College.
Um, prayer, more prayer. No. 2001. 2001, under the leadership of Dr. Algenia Warren Freeman. Um, she heard me speak here at Livingstone College and invited me to join her development team. When I joined her development team was right around the time I was completing my baccalaureate degree. I'm a member class of 2001. And the day that I crossed the stage, I remember telling one of my classmates that one day I'm going to come back and be the president of Livingstone College. That was May 2001, October 2022. The Board of Trustees gave me my dream job. Out of 41 candidates, I emerged as the candidate. Um, I'm happy, honored, and humbled to serve as the 13th president of
Mhm.
Livingstone College. Think about that. In our entire existence, there have only been 13 presidents, and I'm number 13.
Mhm. Mhm. That's truly a blessing. So you did say prayer, prayer, and prayer. Um, and the fact that you spoke that you once or that you will be president of the college that you graduated. So I absolutely love that. Okay, so yes, Livingstone College, that was the education, that was the history. You are the 13th president. Outside of being president of Livingstone College, the best HBCU, I'm going to continue to say that. Tell us about Dr. Davis. Tell us about Anthony Davis. What do we need to know about you?
Hmm. Well, you know that I am the 13th president of Livingstone College.
Mhm.
What you might not know is that um, I spent my entire life in foster care. Um, from the time I was born until I emancipated myself at age 17. As a matter of fact, I got out before I aged out. At age 17, I went to the United States Air Force, so I didn't give them an opportunity to kick me off the rolls. I found a way to navigate myself off of the rolls myself. Went to the United States military. Um, I ended up coming to Livingstone College in 2001 after serving in the private sector. What most people don't know about me as well is that I had two vocations. Number one was a hobby, and the other one was one that put food on the table. I was a lab tech, but in addition to being a lab tech in the military, I also had a side hustle. My side hustle was being a club DJ, so I was good on two turntables. So that's something that people might not know about me. But when I spoke it into existence that I would be the president of Livingstone College in 2001, it took me about 20 years to actually um, prepare myself to actually assume this role. Took me 21 years exactly. 2001, I proclaimed it. Um, I actually procured it in 2022, 21 years later.
Wow, that's amazing. The fact that 21, that's not really a lot of time. It's a lot of time, but it's not really a lot of time to be predestined for a certain thing. That was already in your future, and then you spoke that. And so here we are today.
So, earlier when you asked me what,
Mhm,
the secrets to the secret sauce, right?
mhm,
You said, how do you get there? I said, prayer, prayer, more prayer, right? But
mhm.
really, it's prayer, patience, and preparation. Prayer, patience, and preparation. Because there were times when I
Mhm.
felt like, you know what, I need to give up on that dream. But then something inside of me said, no, don't give up yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of not giving up, when I reached out to, I think your admin, and we talked about you coming on the podcast, I was
Mhm.
like, we should title this something.
Mhm.
And I received The Journey. That was the title that I received through email, and I was like, The Journey. We're going to talk about this. Now, I don't know if that was something you came up with or Sora Davis came up with it. I don't know. Just give me a little bit like who came up with that title? Was that you or was it your wife?
Mhm. Really, I was pushed, and she asked me, what would you name a podcast? And I really thought about it from this context that when I look at my life, it's not a destination, it's been a journey. Um, for someone who began their journey in foster care to navigate that system to where you never need public assistance again, that's one leg of the journey. I had a military career, that's another leg of the journey. I had my academic preparation. That's another leg of the journey. I had my ministerial career, where in the AME Zion Church, I've been a preacher, a pastor, a presiding elder, and now the president of the flagship institution, Livingstone College. It's been a journey. And when I think about that journey, you're looking at someone who could not go to college right after high school because in 1983, a young man who grew up in foster care, college was just not in the purview. In 1983, they didn't have the programs that they have in place now where you age out. There are other programs to help you along. I was always told that, hey, once you turn 18, that's the end of it. Okay. You have to prepare yourself for life after foster care. And so when I think about that, that's just part of my journey, and that's just part of my story. And I like to share that, with people who need a little inspiration. And if I can make it, so can you.
Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I did not even know, that you were part of the foster care system. Thank you for that. And so you being very vulnerable and transparent, I'm going to be vulnerable and transparent as well. I do have some children that my husband and I adopted some children from the foster care system because we did not want to have them in a position to where they would remain there. You know it better than us. My husband was in foster care at one point too. So he understood these children could not remain there. And because we didn't want to separate them, we made sure that they found their forever home. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Now, there's another thing I want us to talk about. I came to know of some medical issues or condition a couple of weeks ago when we were in conversation, and Sora Davis was there, and I said, you know what? I don't know if I'm even supposed to say this. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this, but it's being placed on my heart for Dr. Davis to come on and talk and just share his story and let us know what's been going on. And I got extremely emotional. And still to this day, I don't really understand how I got that emotional. I just know I like helping people. I know I'm a servant of the Lord because I don't call myself a Christian. I am, but I call myself a servant of the Lord. Mm-hmm. And I was obedient. And I said, if this needs to be disregarded or discarded or whatever, please take it out of the meeting. She says, no, I'm going to talk to him. And so we're here. So Dr. Davis, tell us what's been going on with you medically and what we need to understand about what you and your wife have been dealing with over the past time frame.
Okay. Before I go medically, let me say this. Although I grew up in foster care my entire life, it was as if God knew exactly when I needed it. Because after my foster mother passed, my biological mom that I was separated from at birth, we were able to get reconnected when I was 24 years old. And our story had a happy ending. Happy ending because she got an opportunity to see me get ready or gear up for my presidency. And she passed right before I assumed the role as president and CEO of Livingstone College. So my story had a happy ending. But just as I was assuming the role to be the 13th president of Livingstone College, there's the big inauguration and, it's happy times, balloons are dropping. But then I had a medical diagnosis. I ended up in the hospital 1 month after my inauguration. Didn't realize it. I had gone into renal failure. Just like that. I saw the signs. I was going to the doctor regularly and they were telling me, hey, based on your lab results, your algorithms are saying kidney disease. And of course, I did what some people will do, and that's be in denial. I ignored it. I said, no, I'm fine. I feel great. And being great, feeling great almost killed me. You know why? Because I was one of those people who were asymptomatic, which means I had no symptoms. They told me, hey, when your kidneys shut down, you'll know it, you'll get sick. Guess what? I never got sick. Nothing ever happened. I was going to work, going hard every day. I always said that I get up, I was gearing up, and I was going hard for Livingstone every day. And no one knew I was sick until it landed me in the hospital where I was carrying about 30 pounds of fluid. My body wasn't getting rid of fluid and I was just swelling. I thought that, life was good and I was gaining weight. It was 30 pounds of fluid, couldn't breathe. And I spent about a week and a half in the hospital, came out, had to go right back in. And then I was able to get balanced, but they told me that I was going to need dialysis. And they prepared me for dialysis. And guess what? Most people believe, or most people ask the question, how long have you been on dialysis? I've been on dialysis a year and a half, every night, 9 hours a night. Nobody would ever know unless I told you. But I am doing what they call peritoneal dialysis. My kidneys have totally shut down. As a matter of fact, my kidneys are doing just enough with the peritoneal dialysis to keep me alive. But I'm grateful that God gives me another day to fight another fight.
So you've been on dialysis for a year and a half.
Year and a
I
half.
didn't even know. So you're informing me, educating me. I didn't even know you can be on dialysis, the treatment for 9 hours straight.
9 hours. 9 hours. So I'm doing what they call peritoneal dialysis. So there's hemodialysis where they put a shunt in or they put a line in and they purge your blood, right? Well, peritoneal dialysis is they still remove the impurities and the toxins, but they use your peritoneal fluid. So they insert a tube in your peritoneal cavity and they actually fill you up with sugar water at night. And the sugar water attracts the toxins in your blood and it pulls it out across the membrane. And then that goes on for about 9 hours in a full night, 8.5 hours every night.
Every night. So I don't want to jump to, okay, maybe I'll just ask this. Okay, so with you being on that type of intense treatment, what does that mean for you being like receiving a kidney or being on a list to receive one? Like, do you have to get to a certain part of the treatment and then they say, okay, now you can be placed on a list, or how does that work?
Well, my blood type exacerbated the situation. I'm O positive, which meant that I can only receive a kidney or an organ from someone who's an O positive or who was an O. They told me that the average waiting time for someone on dialysis who is O positive is about 7 years. So I thought about this 9 hours a night for 7 years. Is that something that I want to do for another 8 years? And I made the decision that, you know what? No one knew that I was crying in the car. Great title, by the way, of your podcast. No one knew that I was suffering in silence because I was coming to work every day. I was grinding it out. I mean, Livingstone College is one of the fastest growing HBCUs in the country. There are no other HBCUs that I know of that have grown 41% in 3 years, $68 million in philanthropic gifts, not pledges, but actual gifts will come across the desk of the college in less than 3 years. So the work is being done. And then now here I am sick with kidney disease, and no one knew how sick I was until I made the announcement at commencement in May 2025, this year. I announced to the world that I was suffering with kidney disease. And I'm glad that I did, even though I had some critics say, well, why did you take away from the Students' Day? That was bad timing. It was perfect timing, because had I not done that, guess what? 7 years would have been at least 7 to 8 years. And hopefully, and I'm saying hopefully, I'll be able to make a big announcement very soon. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I'll be making a big announcement very soon.
I love that, because I can only imagine. I've never been in a situation where I received a diagnosis or information about me having a disease that could be where I would have to have treatment for 7 to 8 years.
Mhm.
So I am praying that the announcement that you let us all
Here's the
hear is
alternative.
something.
Can I tell you the alternative?
Okay, yes.
If I didn't do the treatments for 7, 8 years, it would mean bye bye, Dr. Davis. It's doing just enough, right, to keep me alive. And so you do what you have to do to stay alive. I have three wonderful children. I have to do what I have to do because they need, their father. And I have grandchildren. And they need their grandfather. And so I'm going to do it. And guess what? When I became the president of Livingstone College, I became the parent of about 1,000 students. And guess what? All 1,000 of my students need me to grind out every day.
Hmm. Absolutely. And so, okay. So we're going to wait for that announcement. We're definitely going to do that. But as you said, they didn't know, you were keeping that to yourself. And then there was many times that you did cry in the car. And that's where I want to go to it. So before you announced it, like, what were the emotions? What were the thoughts? What were the feelings of, like, I have to bear this by myself? Well, not by yourself, because I know your wife and your family knew, but all the rest of us didn't know. So what was that like? What were the emotions you were going through, working every day, acting as if nothing was happening? Like, what were you feeling?
You know what? It was almost a numbing effect. You know, when you go get a tooth pulled, right? They numb you with the Novocaine shot, and they're working on you, but you don't feel a thing. Um, I was grinding so hard for Livingstone, I didn't have time to feel what I was feeling, and then one day it hit me. One day it hit me because I just ran out of gas, and when I ran out of gas, um, I was encouraged. I was encouraged by a number of people, but they got me in a room and said, "It's time to let the world know what you're going through." And they started a committee. The committee was called Be My Match. My good friend, Scott Esdale, Professor McDowell, Trustee Wendy Bailey, Anthony Brooks. I'm going to mess up, Keith Anderson. They all got together and said, "Hey, we want to be part of your committee." And my wife and my children, and they all got together and said, "Hey, if you feel bold enough or if you feel empowered enough, go ahead and make your announcement and commencement, because no one knows that you're as sick as you are." Because what would happen is I would grind out all day, and then after a 10, 11-hour workday, here I was going to get on a machine for another 9 hours. And on the days when I didn't have anything to do, I would just sit and basically sleep. That's what I would do, because I was so exhausted. It had taken so much from me that my family said, "You need to let the world know what you're going through, because no one knows." Because they saw my forward face, but they didn't see what I was going through in the car, or better yet, in the dark.
Mhm. So the suffering in silence on one end looks like pretending. You didn't say this. This is what I'm saying. I'm going to work. I'm going to throw myself into the students, into the school, into the college, and all of that. And then when I go home, I'm faced with this.
Let's say this, and really, I really want to chronicle this and think about this. And if I could have a chapter in my book that I want to talk about the mask. You're the same person with the mask on. It's just the mask allows you to be disguised. You're still Anthony Davis. You just have on a mask, right? So I would like to say I wasn't pretending, but I was wearing a mask, and all you could see was the mask. And the different kinds of masks, right? They're decorative masks, they're scary masks, but I always put on the decorative mask. So when you saw me, you were like, "Hey, man, you look great. Thank you." Right? But really, inside, I was going through so many things. How am I going to make it 9 years, of doing this, 8 years of this machine? Most people don't understand how uncomfortable peritoneal dialysis is. Let me just explain it to you.
Please.
Take 6 liters of fluid, big bags of fluid, and you put it on a machine called a cycler. And that machine, although you should be sleeping, is cycling fluids into your abdominal cavity, and then it's draining all night long. So you think about this. Remember when you were a young kid and you went to summer camp and it was, they told you not to drink a whole lot of water because it was hot outside. You just kept drinking and then your stomach felt like it was going to explode. That's what it feels like every single night. Every single night. And you get up the next morning and it's still just enough to get going. And if I miss one day of dialysis, I feel it. I'm one of those people who carry a lot of fluid and I'll start to swell. And me being on this machine is a life imperative for me.
You're really putting things in perspective for me. I hope for those that are listening, ask your questions, send your comments. You have some people in here. You have Dr. Parrish saying, amen. We have Henry Scott saying, Dr. Davis, you are truly an inspiration. I know that your faith will see you through. Thank you for all that you do for our dear old Livingstone College. And I would like to say that as well. I just really think about the perspective. I lost a cousin last year. Maybe it was this year. There's losses, in our lives. That was on dialysis, and so of course, she didn't make it. But now I think about like how when you are striving, when you are maintaining or doing just enough, like I cannot imagine this. You are really blowing my mind with this because I had no idea, like I said, how difficult it can be. So thank you again for coming on and just sharing this. Because when you said how your abdomen is, and when you gave the example of being in the summer camp, like mm. I really hope, I really hope those that are watching are truly sharing this. I want you to share it on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, whatever is out there now, Twitter, TikTok. Just please share this because you are a very bold and special man. I did not know all this about you. I knew some stuff about you because I found out some stuff about you before you came on. But this part right here, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So going through all of this again, so you have your support. Who's part of your support? Who's part of your team?
Oh, of course. Of course, my wife, right? My children, right? I have siblings. But in addition to that, faculty, staff, students, um, board members. Think about this. I learned something during this journey. While we're on this journey, I remember I'm being seen at Duke in Durham, right? And that is one of the top facilities in the region, right? And so I'm going to appointments at Duke, and the chief nephrologist is saying to me, "Oh, it's going to take you 7 years." But I said, "Anything I can do?" They said, "Yeah, you can come up with a directed donor." I said, what is a directed donor? They said a directed donor is someone who wants to give a kidney for you, a directed donor. And I said, well, how does that work? They said, tap into your networks and let people know what you need. And you know what? That is why in May of this year, or was it May of last year? The time keeps flying. It was May of last year. Now, May of this year, I decided to no longer suffer in silence, to let the world know that, hey, I am suffering from full blown renal failure. My kidneys don't work at all. I need a kidney. And guess what? I'm glad that I did, because that one announcement, I had over 70 people that I know of that asked for the barcode, that said, hey, I want to at least see if I'm compatible. Not only that, I had people that I didn't know, right? Because of other events and activities, the links, the AKs and others had um, a blood drive and a Be the Match episode, or Be the Match campaign, as part of the blood drive. And guess what? They found individuals that were semi-compatible, and they're still working it up. Remember, hint, hint, wink, wink. Hopefully I'll be able to make a big announcement soon.
Yeah, I love this. So we have another comment over here. It says, Dr. Moss, Introduction to Psychology class is watching 22 students. The students want Dr. Davis to know that they are rooting for him and that God will continue to keep him. Oh, and then we have another thank you. So, Dr. Davis, they love you. They absolutely love you. It says, Amen. This is a very powerful and informative for me. We are blessed to have you as our president at Livingstone College. Hearing this, reading this, lets me know the impact that you have made, are making, will make, as you said, with faculty, students, incoming, and those that are leaving. Um, those that are watching that never met you before, but that are catching this live, that will catch the replay. When we think about our lives, a lot of times we say, why does this happen to me? I don't know if you said that. But then we turn around and we say, no, especially when we are believers, we said, well, Lord, this is happening for me. I will be a testimony. This is not where I'm stopping. You're like, you have your plan, you have your assignment. I am purpose, because I say that all the time. I am purpose. I used to say I'm purposeful, and sometimes I do, but I know I am purpose because I know God put me in this place. Especially with this podcast. Let me say this before I continue. Dr. Davis, you don't know the backstory of this podcast. Let me just give you a little bit. My husband lost his brother a year and a half ago now. He's from Jersey. We went to Jersey. We came back. When he came back, I took him out to dinner because I just wanted to check in with my man. That's my buddy. And I was like, I know this is kind of like a crazy question, but how are you? And he was like, well, and I was like, I get it. And then he said to me, he said, you are my safe space. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that, but hearing it is totally different. And then I said, and as he's talking to me, God is downloading to me. You hear what I'm saying? And he's telling me everything. So I'm telling my husband, I said, I cannot tell you. You have to tell me. And he said, well, it would be cool. No, back up. He said, well, men need a space like this, and I wish they had a space. And I was like, yeah, I get it. He says, well, men feel safe and they have solitude pretty much wherever. And I said, keep talking. As he's talking, God is saying he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you. And I looked at him. I said, well, what are you really saying? And he says, men cry in the car. And I just start crying because God had just told me the name of the podcast. And I said, you got to keep talking. And then he said, I didn't know you had a podcast. And I looked at him and I said, I do now. So that's the thing. Like when you have this assignment, when you know you are purposeful, you have to speak. I'm so glad God released you to say something.
You know what? And you said it. God released me to say something. That's real because when you are a man of faith, right? I think about the countless hours that I spent on the clergy side of the equation. In other words, I'm the one who had to show up to the hospital and say, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, right? I had to do that. Now I have to believe in what I've been saying for the last 40, 50 years of my life.
Mhm.
I have to believe that I serve a God who's faithful,
Mhm.
right? I have to believe that this is not the end of my story, right? I have to believe that. And guess what? It's not the end of my story.
Mhm.
It's not the end.
Mhm.
Um, I like the podcast though. The title, it's real because
Mhm.
men do cry in the car. And if someone were really to unpack that, the car is for most men, that is, that is the one thing that we love. That's why men, what do we do? You always, well, when I had time, I would wash the car, put the armor all on the tires. We took care of the car. We took care of nothing else, right? The car was an extension of us. But now that makes sense because guess what I do? On days when this becomes unbearable, guess where I spend my time? In my car.
Mhm.
In my car. So shout out to you in this podcast. I'm
Mhm.
glad to be here. I want to answer any question you might have.
Absolutely.
Hope I
Look,
shared a little bit about the journey. I mean, I understand.
absolutely. I feel like yes, and we can continue to whichever way you want to go. Look,
That's
shout
it.
out to Jesus for telling me to be obedient, tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
There's another comment that came through. It says, "I am waiting for the book." This is Cheryl. The title is prophetic. God allowed me to continue to encourage and watch a great man fight for his purpose and life, leading others out of bondage to the promised land.
Wow.
So, yeah, if you ever feel down on yourself, if you ever feel like this journey is too much, I hope you remember what has been said today. I hope you remember um, whose you are and who God made you. Because I tell you what, a life, as they say, life be life in. But let me tell you something else, Dr. Davis. Jesus be Jesus in, okay? So anytime we go through that, that is something that we know, like, mm-mm, it's not the end. It is not the end. You're definitely in the place of like, I just keep seeing these comments come up of impact. You are a man of faith. You are a man that's going through what you have to go through. Um, and it's not in vain. It's not. God has the last say, and I know you know that. But sometimes we need to hear it. God has the last say, and we're just knowing God is all faithful and all knowing, and it is so. It truly is. So let me see if anybody has any other questions over here. Um, that seems like somebody's trying to type something, but the part of your support and everything that you've been going through, let's talk a little bit about a little self-care as you're going through this, and as you know that you are crying in a car and sharing your things and like sharing your thoughts by yourself and with your family and all of that. Like, what is part of some of your self-care? How are you also allowing yourself to get through with what's happening within your life?
Well, I have to be honest because part of this is being authentic, right?
Correct.
For the year and a half that I've been on dialysis, I've
Mhm.
neglected my self care.
Got you.
My self care has been doing enough to stay alive every night. That has been my self care. So, with that, I abandoned some of the things that I like to do. I love to golf, but I haven't really been able to have the energy to get out and golf. Every once in a while, I get not enough energy to maybe go out and take in a concert or doing some of the things I like to do. Um, I like hanging out with my students. I love hanging out with my students and doing the blueprint. Now I can't do the whole blueprint. I just get one stanza of the blueprint in, and I got to, keep it moving. But I really enjoy. That was part of my self-care. Haven't been able to do any of that, but I'm looking forward to being on the other side of transplant, where they tell me that you will feel better. And listen, I'm getting prepared now. Earlier today, I had an hour and a half of physical therapy. Why? Because I'm getting ready to be on the other side of transplant. Because I realize that there's another side called through. That's why they call it through. So I may be going through this, but on the other side, there's something called through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Be Nice said, when we gonna see him DJ on campus? So I guess he needs to bring out the turntables and the microphone.
I actually had the turntable set up, and I'm thinking that after transplant, that might be something I want to get back in. Meanwhile, I'll just sit back and let my son be my favorite DJ right now. So
I understand. I appreciate that.
shout out to DJ Trails. Yeah.
That's gonna be amazing. I also will be at homecoming this year. I haven't been back to homecoming since 2016, but I don't know if you are familiar.
Homecoming. See, we don't do.
That's right, Stonecoming. Exactly.
A&T does homecoming. They have the greatest homecoming on earth.
Look, correct me. That's right. It's Stonecoming. That's correct. That's right. I haven't been back since 2016, and I'm not sure if you remember Carmen Harper. If that name sounds familiar.
No comment.
She's one of my dearest best friends. And so she was like, Lynn, you got to come back. It's our 30th year. So yeah, it's our 30th year in the sorority. So I definitely, hopefully I will see you. I hope to see you so we can meet face to face. That would be great. But, I know you may have other things to do because Stonecoming is eventful. And so definitely with that. But I really want you to get back into self-care. I understand. There's one thing I want to impart. If you are not seeing anyone, as far as like counseling, therapy, I think that would be great self-care.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If that's not already part of it, if that's not already part of what you're doing.
Yes, definitely. I will sit on somebody's couch. Definitely. I learned that the hard way. Men Cry in the Car, and I really want you to write that book. You really need to get that book out because this podcast is going to reach so many people. Men, and I don't want to say all men, but most men are like me, where we hold on to things because we got to be macho, right? We can't nobody see us cry in the dark. Everybody see us cry. That's why we cry in the car, right? We can't hear. You can't afford to hear us whimper. We got to be the man. Guess what? For years, I held on to a secret. I didn't tell anyone that I grew up in foster care till I was in my late 40s. I'm 60. That's right. I'm 60. I'll be 60 in 5 more days, right? October 26th, I'll be 60 years old. I didn't start talking about my foster care journey until I was almost 50. The last 10 years of my life. So I missed so much of my life of sharing because I didn't want anybody to know. So I've decided that now that I'm older, that I'm going to be an open book because God has taken me through this journey to share aspects of my journey with somebody else who might have given up had they not heard my story, who may have given up had they not known that it was okay to cry in the car, who may have given up if they didn't realize that there's another side of through.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I congratulate you for sharing your story of medical being in foster care and whatever other story you want to share. See, this is the reason you came on. This is the reason God told me to tell Sora Davis that, because again, going back to what I said before, when we go through things or when we're going through things, we think, Lord, come on now. Why me? Why this? Why? What I've learned, Dr. Davis, it has never been about me. Never. Yeah, I experienced it. I went through it. I went through like sexual abuse from my father. I grew up in a household where my dad was extremely abusive to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to unalive her twice that I was told about. So growing up in dysfunction, I kept that to myself. I was like, I can't let people know about that
Mm-hmm.
because we were seen as like a great family.
Mm-hmm.
Tore up or the floor up, okay? And I could not share that because in my head, I was like, I'm going to expose my
Mm-hmm.
family. I'm going to expose.
Mm.
But as things continued and they're stronger, and I was just like, hey, being on my own journey and my healing journey, as I call it, I was just like, no, I'm about to start talking. No, I'm not keeping secrets no more. Keeping
Mm-hmm.
secrets in my family kept us sick,
Mm.
physically and mentally. I was like, nope, nope. As they say, generational curse breaker. No, I feel like it's generational patterns, but I am the breaker. Like when people see me come, they're like, oh Lord, she's about to say something. I am. You know
Mm-hmm.
why? Because so many people have not used their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one point I didn't use my voice. And at
Mm-hmm.
one point I thought it was stolen. But what I realized, Dr. Davis, it was muted. And I say that all the time. So those that were victims of whatever, that see themselves as survivors, that are now trying to live. And where I am, I call myself a thriving warrior. So
Mm-hmm.
I speak for those that don't know how to speak or don't know that they can.
Mm-hmm.
I also call myself an angelic troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't coin that. That I got that from somewhere. But for you, you are doing the very same thing. You're speaking out, you're opening up, you're sharing because someone knows your story. Okay. Someone else was in foster care. Someone else is
Right.
dealing with renal failure. Someone else understands this. Someone else is about to be 6 years old. Someone else is a father. Someone else understands every aspect of your life. And so I thank you again for coming on and just sharing the little part of you that you did, because I know there's so much more to you. And because I know it is. Like, I know there's so much more to you. And I just keep saying thank you for loving on the students the way you do, because I
Love the
see you.
students. Love them. Shout out to Blue Bear Nation. All right.
For
I love
sure.
the students. But
Right. You
one
do.
thing I want to say that I didn't say um,
Hmm.
is that when you think about adversity, I believe that God knows who He can trust with adversity. Not because some of the things that I've gone through, if I were to share it, might cause some people to break. But God trusts me with it. And I'm not going to let Him down.
No.
I said something about kidney disease. I said I may have kidney disease, but it will never have me. It'll never have me. So every day I get up, I gear up, and I go hard for Livingstone.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, just the resilience and perseverance and every other adjective that I can come up to describe you. We see it. We see it. Before I this live interview that we're having today, I saw you. I've been trolling on social media. I've been watching you and I'm like, oh my God, who is this man? And that's probably started about 6 to 8 months ago. And I was like, oh, who is this man? Um, and then I started just seeing you, then, how you train the algorithm. And then now you just pop up on my feed all the time. But just again, I will not, and the students probably will not be able to say thank you so much. You go hard for those students because you love them, for your faculty, for staff, for your friends, for your supporter, and also going hard for yourself.
Mhm.
I want to say this to you. A lot of men that have been in my private practice, because I'm a licensed professional counselor as well,
Mhm.
that have come to me, they have said to me, Lynn, you're the only person, you're the only woman. Let me correct that. You're the only woman that I can cry in front of. And I'm like, oh, whew, thank you for the compliment, but I don't want to be the only one. Let's get you to the space where you're able to talk to your spouse, to your
Mhm.
sister, to your mom, to your aunts. So I thank you for being open. I thank you for being vulnerable. I thank you for even trusting this space, um, and sharing of yourself so effortlessly,
Mhm.
so selflessly as well. And anytime you want to come back, I really want you to come back. If there's anything you want to share about Livingstone, anything, please let me know. But before we go,
Mhm.
like you said, whatever you can share, you want to be able to do that because someone needs to hear it. Right now, I don't care if it's the young man, if it's one of your students, I don't care if it's an adult. What would you say to that man right now that is watching you? What would you say? What do you think he needs to hear at this moment?
It's okay to cry in your car. It's okay to cry in the car, but it's better to cry in public because if you cry in public, more people can come to your rescue. I learned that the day that I went public with late stage renal failure, not kidney disease, renal failure. When I told everyone, I had critics. I had critics that said, you should have kept that to yourself. Commencement wasn't the time to tell that story. But you know what? I'm glad that I did because had I not done it when I did, I would still be suffering in silence, crying in the car. But because I went public, other people have been able to come to my rescue. My family, civic groups have come to my rescue. Students. Can you imagine how humbling that is to have a student who has lived maybe 20 years of their life come up to you and say, hey, I want to give you a kidney? Do you know how humbling that is? Do you know how humbling that is to have a prayer service where four bishops out of the 12 actually show up? Four others send written correspondence. And to have Varick Auditorium full to let me know that we're praying for you? Because people will say it. Can you imagine what it feels like to go to the cafeteria where you're going to uplift your students and your students come and uplift you? Where they'll come and sit down with you and say, hey, how you doing today? Pretty good, but we're praying for you. This happened to me um, last week, no, week before last. I was walking across campus and a young man stopped me. And when he stopped me, he says, hey, I just want to pray with you for a minute.
Mm.
Think about that. That's what keeps me going. So had I never shared,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to feel the love that I'm feeling right now. You know who really cares about you now when you're going through your adversity? I believe that God sends angels to you while you're going through your adversity. Angels of adversity to help you navigate it.
Mhm.
You
I
know,
believe that.
I mean, I can tell you how humbling this has been because up until now, I've been, the man, all right? But now I was vulnerable. But when I was able to share what I was going through, people showed up that I didn't realize cared. Of course, your family, they're supposed to care, right? But when I have somebody that I played Little League Baseball with, I'm 60. So that means I met you when I was 10 years old. When I meet you 50 years ago, and you decide, hey, I'm going to get tested for you, man, that lets me know that God has some angels out there. I've had people call me cousins, family members, because I filled out the barcode to get tested. Now, Duke didn't go as fast as I wanted them to. They did one at a time, but it's okay. I had family members and friends who got tested, men and women. Hey, I'm humble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm humble.
It is definitely a humbling experience.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things where you just really know God truly loves you.
Oh yeah.
When he can show you through the people that care about you, like all the mm, this has been so this has been beautiful. And I'm extremely emotional right now, but in a good way, because I know whoever heard this needed to hear this. Whoever shares this with whomever is going to hear what they need to hear. It's like talking about yourself is like truly the word of the Lord that they need to hear. So I thank you again. Um, okay, so this is the thing, very last thing. Where can people find you? Like on social media? How do you want people to know where you are, what you're doing, the great job that you're doing at Livingstone? Like, let us know that as well.
Oh, just yeah. I'm President 13 at livingstone.edu. I'm easy to find. President 13 at livingstone.edu. Put the E on Livingstone. It's not Livingston, it's Livingstone. Make sure you spell it out, Livingstone. Shout out to um, the young men and women who are here on this campus as a part of our Hope program. Um, I decided to start a program on campus for young men and women who have aged out of the foster care system. And I have about 25 students who are here on this campus who aged out of foster care. Just know that 85% of all young men and women who age out of foster care, um, only 3% will go to college, only 1% will graduate. What happens to the other 82% though? And so I wanted to start a program for young men and women who wanted more, who deserve more, who were willing to give more. And so they're here on this campus as part of our HOPE program. HOPE stands for Healing, Opportunity, Preparation, and Empowerment. And we are so grateful that God entrusted this ministry into our hands.
Yes. So before we go, we have a couple more comments for you, Dr. Davis. It said, "We are praying for you, Mr. President." That's from Dr. Parrish. Henry also said, "There is a love affair going on. Elsie loves Dr. Davis and he loves her right back. Dr. Davis, you got this." And so, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time, because I know there's things that you can be doing. And so, thank you for taking this time being with me today. I hope I see you when I'm there at Stone Coming. If not, then I know I'll see your wife and I'll just give her some encouraging words. So thank you again. And before you don't leave just yet, I want to take you down and I want to end the show and I want to talk to you just for a second.
Mhm.
But thank you for those that came on. We appreciate you so much for giving your compliments. I mean your comments, your questions, your concerns, and Dr. Davis, just thank you again for being here. This has
Yeah,
been
that 30 minutes went fast.
actually it turned into 59 minutes. It turned into an hour.
I talk
So
too
we
much.
just
I'm
so we
sorry.
just kept going. No, it's good. We just kept going, kept going. So give me a second. I'm gonna take you down and I'll end the show, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Everyone, again, thank you so much for being here. Please, again, if you have not shared it out, please send everyone the replay. We definitely want to get the eyes on this interview with Dr. Davis because we love him, right? Students, you love him, faculty, all the things. But as I say every single time, men, I see you, I hear you, and I support you. Until next time, bye for now.